Just live for tomorrow, or just live with yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece, episodes 825 to 828. And yeah, last we left off, it seemed things were finally coming to a head. We seem to be moving into the next phase of this series, of this arc, I should say, of this series. I mean, I guess that's accurate, but of this arc. Because Sanji not only knows about all the betrayals and all of that jazz, but he has now gone back to Luffy, and presumably based on everything that we've seen, it's going to be like he's back with them, but is probably going to remain like undercover in a way, if you know what I mean. Still gonna go with his entire plan, but do it like working with the Straw Hats again now. Meanwhile, Brooke was rescued successfully from Big Mom's grasp while she slept. And yeah, everything seems to be going according to plan. Now, as I stated last time, I did see a very brief second of the beginning of the preview for this next episode. And if I saw it right, there's a character I've been waiting for is finally going to appear. A character who I do know about, but don't know like all the details about. I don't know like everything about them. I just know of their existence and know of their popularity. So we're going to see how that kind of fits. Plus, I know what they look like and everything. Because it's, with as popular as they are, it's really hard to avoid seeing things with as far behind as I am. But that's the gist of it. It's like, I don't know all the details. I don't know what they can do. I just know they exist, and I know they're a big deal. So we're going to see them coming up, presumably in this next episode. At least a little bit. Also, someone shot the Boing guy. I can't remember his name right now. Bobbin or something like that, actually. It might be. I'm not sure. But he was chasing after Sanji because Sanji attacked him for stealing from the picnic basket that he had originally made for Pudding, but realized that he really made it for his friends. So once he started running towards where to meet up with Luffy, Bobbin was chasing him, but Bobbin was shot by someone who appeared to have the same gun as Pudding. And the thing is, if it is Pudding, the only reason I mentioned this last time, the only reason I can think that she would shoot him is so that the plan can still go according to plan, nothing is stopped or messed with. But why would they keep her hidden if that was the case, especially when the gun looks pretty much the same? I'm actually thinking it's not Pudding, that it's someone else, and that there's a different reason for shooting him. But that might just be me. I don't know. I just feel like the idea that it is Pudding, I don't feel like they would need to hide that at this point. But yeah, last time we also continued on with Jinbei as part of the gang and helping out with everything. So he's back, and he seems, at least right now, to be taking a more active role in things. We did learn that Peckham's is okay, that he did survive. So that's good, even though it was kind of obvious he wasn't going to die there. They wouldn't kill him that randomly, just in a very minimal scene like that. So yeah, there's a lot that's been set up, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. I assume that in these episodes we're probably going to get to the big events of stuff, like things are really going to kick off. But I mean, I don't know for sure. Um, Knowing this series, they could push it back even further, um, in lieu of some other stuff. But who knows? We'll see. Um, excuse me. But yeah, we're just gonna get on with it and hope for the best as this continues. Because if the rest of this arc is as good as it has been, it's definitely in leagues of being one of my favorite arcs of this series. Which is impressive to say at this point because of how long this series has been going on and how many great arcs it does already have. So, yeah, uh, let's just get this going and see what these episodes have in store for us and see if they truly are the beginning of like the next part of this arc, the next kind of section of it. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so this kind of went where I thought it was going to go, but also surprised me in a few ways. So I was noting, like, oh yeah, okay, so Sanji's going to come back to the crew now, but probably going to have to hatch a plan and figure out how to make all of this work. Figure out everything going on with Germa and Big Mom and all that, and that he'd probably have to keep up the ruse for a little bit. And it seems like that's still going to be happening. But I was not anticipating Capone Beige to ally with Luffy and all. And Caesar, I guess, as well. That caught me off guard. So I was thinking initially that maybe Capone had like faked shooting Peckhams or something, because I didn't think they would like kill off Peckhams that like offhandedly, because it was kind of this just random scene thrown into one of the previous episodes, and it felt like it didn't. I mean, obviously we knew it was going to go somewhere, but it didn't feel like it was like a proper send off to Peckham's character, or if it felt like it was like it kind of felt like it was this offhanded thing, like it's like, okay, we're just going to show this, and it's like, okay. So it always felt like something was off about it. Um, but then we found out from Jinbei that his crew had rescued Peckhams, and so so at that point it's like I was unsure of how that was going to end up being. And now we find out that no, Capone really did shoot him and basically leave him for dead. And that it wasn't a trick or anything like that. It was Capone just being a ruthless asshole, kind of. Um, we get some history on his character. We find out that he's from the West Blue as part of like this group of 4 mafia families from the region. Um, that he initially started out just kind of as this small fry, but worked his way up and eventually even betrayed his own family, family in terms of mafia family, and started heading things himself. And that he became a pirate basically out of boredom. He was bored of how things were working on land, so he decided to go to sea and work his crime family that way. Um, so yeah, that he allied with Big Mom kind of as a strategy more than anything. And now he wants to kill Big Mom and feels that the best time and way to do so is at this tea party, utilizing uh, this portrait of someone who she refers to as Mom, Mama Carmel, I believe it was. And so it's like it's the only way to actually get her genuinely upset enough to where her physical defenses weaken, allowing her to get physically hurt, um, which is really interesting in and of itself. So Luffy has agreed to ally with them. They're going to use Caesar's gas rockets, and the plan is to like break the portrait into pieces, which will upset Mom enough, giving them the opportunity to use the gas rockets on her. While Luffy will act as bait towards, presumably, the rest of the Big Mom pirates. It's an interesting plan. I don't know. I feel like it's a really risky plan, and I just obviously it's not going to work out as they want. I really don't think Big Mom's gonna die here. Um, but yeah. So I wonder exactly what's going to go wrong. Meanwhile, we did start to meet some of the other Big Mom pirates, some of the other ministers, as they were being referred to, including one who I was waiting for. Charlotte Katakuri was introduced in these episodes as one of the ministers and one of the Sweet Three generals. In fact, the only Sweet Three general we haven't met yet. Um, so, like I said in the pre-thoughts, it's a character I don't really know much about. Like, I don't know what powers he has or anything. I just know that he's really popular in the fandom, that people really like him, that he's supposedly really strong, and that for a good while there, like anywhere you looked in regards to One Piece, you would see him. So it was impossible for me to not see him and know about him. Again, I don't know all the details, so I don't know exactly where it's going to go with his character. Um, all I know is, again, he's really popular, he's really strong. I knew what he looked like, I knew his name, and I do know he does have a fight with Luffy. But I also know that because of the openings, because again, I have seen the openings. Um, so I don't know all the details. I just know little bits and pieces here and there. But I have been waiting for him because, again, the hype that people have given him has interested me. And I'm still interested to see what he can do. Because he's also the only minister we saw who we didn't get a hint of his powers. The other ones we got like these small little hints at what their powers were. Like Charlotte Oven, I believe his name was, for example. We saw him like while he was stepping, it seemed like the ground was melting beneath him, and then he walked right through the door, leaving these singed marks as like he basically burned through the door, fitting with his name, Oven and all. um, so yeah, it's like we got to see little hints of that, but with Katakuri, we really didn't see much of anything. Um, like the other ones who came in, he had said like, oh, don't bother like calling for them to open the doors, and the doors just opened. Like it wasn't quite the same. Like the one minister like had like almost this smoke like substance come out that was very similar looking to Smoker's plume plume fruit. Um, but it came out, it went under the door and like formed into this figure, which opened the door from the inside for them. Um, and yeah, as I said, Oven just kind of walked right through the door, literally. So it's like I'm just wondering what the deal is with Katakuri because we didn't really get a feel for that. I feel like they're trying to hide his power for the moment, unlike the others. That's what I'm getting from it, at least. Um, we also had some little fun moments mixed in with all the serious talk, discussion with Capone, and of course the big setup stuff for the tea party still to come. There were some fun little moments when they were like bathing and like trying on new clothes and stuff. Like Luffy had like wore this robot costume, and Of course, there was the little bit of fan service with Nami showering and then joining Carrot in the bubble bath. Which again, I had seen like screenshots of that before, so I knew that was a thing. I just didn't know when it took place or any of the context behind it. Um, but yeah, there's like these little moments of levity. And of course, there was the joke about Luffy realizing Gastino was Caesar Clown, and then being tricked by him saying, "No, I'm not Caesar. I'm Gastino." But then when Nami's like, "No, no, that's definitely Caesar. You were right," and he's like, "What?" It's like that's totally Luffy. I mean, we've seen that kind of joke many times in this series. Um, so yeah, there was a lot of heavy stuff in these episodes. Obviously, in the first episode with Luffy and Sanji talking, and Sanji's like saying like, I can't go, and everything. But then Luffy punches him. It's like, say what you really want, and it's like, definitely, like I said, it reminded me of two different things in that moment. The punch itself reminded me of when he punched Vivi in Alabasta because she was putting it all on herself rather than relying on her new friends and everything to put themselves on the line for and with her. Um, but when he's like you see all the flashbacks and he's like he eventually comes to terms with it and calls out like I want to come back to the Sunny. It was so reminiscent of Enies Lobby when Robin had that same thing basically happen. You saw it's like they're there to save Robin, they're staying up to her, and Luffy's like, tell me you want to live. And then you see her flashbacks like when she was a kid and stuff, and like Jaguar D Saul telling her like, oh, one day you'll meet true friends and everything. Um, and then she's like, maybe just this once I can have my wish. And she's like, and she yells out, I want to live. And even just speaking about that moment gets me super emotional because that's legitimately my favorite moment in the entire series. um, and it makes me cry every time I see it. So even talking about it and remembering it, like I can very vividly see it in my mind. Um, so it's like it makes me very emotional. um, but yeah, it very much reminded me of that. And I feel like some people would probably say that like, oh, they're just kind of reusing the same ideas or the same general like emotional kind of hit points is the really wrong way to put that. You know what I mean? The kind of emotional points, the kind of emotional moments are kind of like recycled based on previous ones. But I actually like that because it shows that even characters who like Sanji, who was there standing alongside Luffy and the rest of the crew, encouraging Robin to want to live, even he can fall under those same feelings. I mean, obviously, it's not exactly the same as with Robin. His issues and his troubles and mindsets are definitely different in this regard, of course. But it's like it's showing that even that he as well can suffer from these same kind of thoughts, these same kind of inadequacies, or at least self-viewed inadequacies. And I like that. I actually like the fact that it's similar because it makes Sanji feel that much more, well, human. It makes him feel that much more real. And not that he didn't already, but let's be honest, Sanji for a good while had become a character who was a little bit overdone with his his gimmick of, being overly obsessive towards female characters, especially Nami and Robin. Um, there was even certain points in the series where it actually got to a gross level, such as in Thriller Bark, where he mentioned that even he wanted the devil fruit that turns you invisible so he could peek in on women and stuff too, which is extremely gross and stuff. And there's a while where that's kind of all his character became, and a lot of people started to dislike him because of that. But I've also heard people say that this arc is the part where that turns that around and just not only makes him likable again, but actually makes him one of the best characters in the series. And I definitely see that. This arc has done wonders for his character. Not only has it actually explained why he acts like that, and explained that it's kind of uh, a ruse he puts on, something a way like this little act he puts on in order to kind of like I don't know how to put it, in order to kind of hide away like a lot of his true feelings and try to like I guess be a little more carefree about things. But we see all of this and we see his development and how this arc grows him as a character, how it develops him through his relationship with his biological family. And it shows you how much of a character he does have and how important and really honestly amazing he can be for this series. And it's really just revitalized him in a way that was necessary at this point. And I think it was a good point to do it at too. Like I don't feel I feel like trying to do this kind of thing earlier, it would have felt like the entire gimmick with him in the first place was more of a ruse, like something that Oda did, like, oh, like I was doing this just to trick you. But if you did it too much later, also, it would just kind of make it feel artificial. It would make his redemption and development as a character feel like a little too late. Doing it at this point in time feels the most natural. It feels like it was earned, and it feels more like Oda was kind of like almost acknowledging that he messed up in the way he wrote Sanji a little bit, that he went a little too far at times. That's how it kind of comes across to me. And that's obviously not to say that once all of this is done and Sanji's back with the crew full time and everything moves on, that's not to say that he won't still like be obsessing and simping over Nami and Robin and other pretty girls. No, he definitely will. It would actually be extremely inconsistent for his character to not. But understanding now why he does that, understanding like what drives that kind of attitude, is going to make it feel like it makes more sense. Like it's not just this ridiculous dumb quirk given to him for the hell of it just to give him a quirk, but that it actually feels like, okay, this is part of his character, and it feels more natural and feels more respectable in a way. Like you understand, you get it. That's how I'm viewing it, at least. And I'm hoping that through this, Oda does dial back on a little bit of it, at least a little bit of the heavy stuff with that. I'm fine with him still being a ladies' man. I'm fine with him still simping over Nami and Robin. That's fine, as long as he doesn't go too far with it, like he did again in Thriller Bark, or even in Punk Hazard, when he switched. Well, because of Law, when his mind was switched bodies and everything, and he was put into Nami's body, and yeah, there was a moment there that those of you who have seen that know what I'm talking about. That was it wasn't right and it wasn't good. And it was way too far. And yeah, yeah. It just, I'm really hoping that that's kind of where they take this, where Oda takes this from now on with him. Once again, he's fully back with the crew, with the entire crew and everything. That at this point, he'll still be a simp, but it'll be more on the level you would more be okay with. Like, honestly, I guess you could put it the way he was in Alabasta is a great example of that. Like, he was fantastic in Alabasta. Again, rewatching through that lately, it's like I've been seeing how great he was, and it's like, holy shit, he was. That was one of his peak arcs for sure. Outside of obviously the Baratier arc where he debuted, like he was fantastic in the Alabasta arc. Um, so yeah, that's just my thoughts on that aspect. But yeah, like I was predicting in the pre thoughts that we might get to the Tea Party in this set, but no, we didn't. We're just still setting up for it, and obviously this set of episodes, it's like okay, there's at the end, there's only 3 hours left until the Tea Party, but the point is that they're building up to it by having this alliance form and this plan be set up. So they're still doing active stuff, and it doesn't feel wrong that they're doing this. It doesn't feel like they're just filling time. So I can be okay with it. I'm okay with what they're doing. Um, and we got a little more information on Lola as well. I do want to mention that. So we found out before that Big Mom hates Lola, wants her dead, and was trying to get the information out of Nami, but Nami wouldn't give her up because Lola's her friend, of course. But we found out that Lola had been set up for a marriage in the past, an arranged marriage, but that she ran away from it. And that's why Big Mom wants to find and kill her. And now we find out what that marriage was, that it was to Loki, the Prince of Elbaf. And that it was also um, kind of a connection to why there's no giants in this inclusive wonderland that is Whole Cake Island. Of all the different races and people there, there's no giants, and why Big Mom doesn't like giants. We don't get the full reason behind that, but we do find out that she tried to repair their friend, their kind of. She tried to get on good terms with the giants by having Lola wed Loki. It wasn't just an arranged marriage because Loki genuinely did love her and wanted to marry her. Um, the thing is, it was clear Lola didn't reciprocate those feelings. And Big Mom was upset because it ruined the possible alliance and reconnection of her with the Giants. Um, yeah, it's really interesting. And I wonder if we're going to maybe see that come to a head once we finally go to Elbaf. Are we going to meet Loki? Are we going to, like, maybe have Lola return? That would be cool. I would be up for that. Um, I'm very interested to see what it's going to be like when we get to Elbaf. We know that arc is going to focus a lot on Usopp because that's kind of been a big deal for him. So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with that. Um, but yeah, it's like we got some good info on that here, and I'm really interested to see where that all goes as well. Um, but yeah, overall, this is definitely moving into the next. As I mentioned, this is definitely moving into the next section of this arc. Because this first part was, about like basically the rescuing Sanji part of the arc. Um, or not really rescuing per se, but getting him to come back to the crew. He's finally accepted. It's finally gone through all that. Now we're getting into the tea party. Now we're getting into the big stuff. And so we're sort of like fitting in with this alliance. We're introducing more new bad guys, including, again, Katakuri, who I know is a big deal. Um, and we're moving into the Tea Party, and it's making a very big deal out of this, with Sanji now joining in and Luffy aligning for this time with Capone Beige. It's definitely moving into the next part of this arc, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. Because there's still like 50 episodes, I think. Because it's, again, I think it's in the 280 or the 880s where this arc ends. So there's still a lot of episodes to go. There really is. So it's hard to say exactly what they're going to do here. We'll just have to wait and find out. But yeah, either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of these 4 episodes of One Piece, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.